There are two groups of being right now upholding the false matrix. The one is the dark controllers, obviously. Many of those dark controllers are very weakened. Many of them are, well, a lot of them have already given up and left. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's bright and breezy for me. I've just woken up a few minutes ago. The birds are chirping loudly. My nose is beautifully blocked. It's a morning. By the way, that's because I've just got pollen in the trees everywhere. But it's a beautiful day to talk to you about something that I've been asked a lot about recently. And that's Ascension Symptoms and why some people feel them so intensely and why some people just don't. Now, before I start with that, I want to talk about emotions because you're feeling everything amplified right now. And I want to break that down because that's really worth understanding. And I'm going to end with something that's really exciting to understand about the people who are not experiencing these so-called ascension symptoms. I'm going to talk to you about that at the very end. So stay tuned for that conversation. It's going to put a lot into perspective for you. Let's start with people who are feeling very deep, intense, amplified emotions right now. And I want to start with an example like tiredness. Tired is not really an emotion, but what it is a physical level feeling. And everybody's felt tired before. But if you allow yourself to feel, well, what does tired feel like now, and contrast it to what tired used to feel like in the memory of your past, what you might find is that this is a bone deep tired. What you might find is that this is another level of tired that you're experiencing, and all emotions that you experience right now, whether it's a physical feeling, by the way, or an emotion, what you're going to find is that there is something deeper. So think of it like this. Think of an emotion as a spectrum. Because we don't do that. We tend to think of anger as one thing. We're very clinical in our understanding and in our analysis and in our linearity, very clinical about what an emotion or even what a feeling is. But a feeling and an emotion is a spectrum. By the way, there is a difference, because I'm sure some of you have asked that. What's the difference between a feeling and an emotion? An emotion is a congealed feeling. So a feeling is a wave of energy, courses through the body. It's natural. It's intended to do that. I love hanging out with higher dimensional beings and watch them play with feeling. What we might call emotion, to them it's feeling, because what it is a momentary passing of energy. But we like to label everything and go, well, and put a story behind it. Well, that feeling is joy, and I felt it because, and I want more of it now, and I have an attachment to it, and now I'm going to crave it. So we just don't understand the concept yet, but we're getting there, of what feelings are, and that they are really waves of energy coursing through the body. An emotion is when you have numerous of the same waves of energy that haven't been processed through the body. Because what happens if a big surge of energy comes and it cannot be released through you? Because that's what every emotion and feeling craves, is to be released through you, to be experienced through you. You are a point of discharge for these waves of energy. Now, if that cannot happen, the feeling accumulates and accumulates and congeals and becomes an emotion. And eventually that emotion starts ruling you. It starts defining you. So people end up saying things like, I am, or I am an angry person, or I am, and you put the name of the emotion in front of it. I am this kind of a person, as if it's your identity. But we do this purely because we haven't been taught in this world. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I was going to say we haven't been taught what to do with emotions, but we have. In the false matrix, you were taught. Don't feel them. Analyze them. Definitely analyze them. Definitely write books about them, write journals about them, talk about them, but God, don't feel them, because the false matrix was upheld on a system of illusion and denial and refuting and pushing away and resisting and unclaimed energies so that you could be a totally head-orientated being. This, by the way, is the base of the ego. The ego is very much a chatterbox. It's very busy. It never, even when you're sleeping, it never sleeps. The ego is talking all the time. But it's very much a brain-based or a head-orientated perspective of life. So now, as you shift from the false matrix into the true matrix, the shift occurs and you start being plugged into everything you were disconnected from. So now, Instead of being this brain-based being where you're analyzing everything, and people often say to me, oh, Kerry, you don't understand. I feel everything. I feel all of my emotions, they say. And then they continue to tell me the story behind them, not understanding that means that they're so enmeshed in the story. And that the story, yes, it's keeping them in outrage. The story might be keeping them in depression or sadness or whatever it is. But the story is what prevents them from processing through that emotion. There are courses on my website where we go into this deeper. There's a course on forgiveness. There's a course called The New Human. So there's definitely work if you want to go and explore this level of depth. And of course, my online community, the Plasma Light Tribe, is exactly where we work with this level of understanding how to discharge an emotion. But the false matrix taught you not at all costs not to do that. Many years of schooling from preschool all the way through your schooling career, that was a devotion to getting you into the brain, to getting you to shut off, shut down, disengage, disconnect. It was a program to support your stay in the false matrix. But of course, we've all reached a place where we've gone, wait a minute, that's not who I am anymore. And so there's been this coming away. Best way I can say it, you've been coming away from the false matrix, and that we call these ascension symptoms as the cosmic light, cosmic energy comes flooding into the body. It's a beautiful blessing that this occurs, but the discomfort is that everything you once suppressed now gets expressed. Everything you once pushed down with reinforcements now is coming up, amplified, magnified. Why? Because you're meant to do this in order to reconnect, because that's what the true matrix is. It's a place of reconnection. But don't be confused. That does not mean, oh gosh, Kerry, are you saying I'm going to have to feel all this pain and misery all the time in the true matrix? Because if it is, I don't want to go there. No, of course not. The true matrix, the organic matrix, which is pure creation's template, pure God creation, not what we've been playing in. The organic matrix is a place wherein you experience, as I watch those galactic beings, those are, by the way, the higher dimensional beings, the higher frequency beings that I've interacted with, that I've had the joy and the pleasure of watching them play with this discharging that I'm talking about of feeling. This is a higher dimensional way of being, where a wave of energy comes in, and just like a wave in the ocean, crash and it's gone. But then the next one comes and crash and it's gone. And then you can have this wonderful lull, this wonderful calm lull when there's no waves, just you. Can you think about that? Who are you without those waves? Who are you without those crashing waves of what we call emotion? Who are you underneath it all? When everything is discharged, what is left, what remains, that is you. And that's the you that's going into the organic matrix. That's the you that is going into the true matrix. Now, I know many of you listening, you're hungry. You're hungry for truth. And there, if you go and replay what I've just said to you, is a very potent truth. It's going to help you to navigate through those feelings and emotions and help you understand why they're so intense. Why you have to feel everything out, feel everything to neutrality, feel everything to a point of discharge. It is because that is your natural resonance, that's your natural state of being as a 5D being, well, 5D and beyond. That's the natural state of being. Nothing defines you other than you. In the false matrix, good grief, everything defined you, from the thoughts to the feelings to the suppressed emotion. Because everything you suppress and deny, you give power, because it moves into the subconscious. The subconscious, which is really what the body, the physical body holds. And that's why experiencing things at the physical level is so important, and why it's happening right now. I released a video on all these physical ascension symptoms that people are feeling. And I said, why is this all physical now? Why is it all coming into the body now for many of you? And that's the answer, because the physical body is holding the subconscious, which is being released and discharged. But everything that you once suppressed, everything that you once denied, gets contained and carried in the physical body. So the body's been the container, the body's been the holding place of everything once suppressed. The subconscious world. Think of it like a dream. You know how in a dream everything's topsy-turvy and just plain weird and nothing really makes sense and things appear out of nowhere? Well, that's kind of happening right now in life if you see it. If you allow yourself to see it, you're living in that unconscious, strange place where nothing really makes sense anymore, because so much of your subconscious and humanity's subconscious is rising and coming to the surface. So there's a dream-like quality of what's taking place right now. It's a purging of everything once suppressed and denied and pushed down into the subconscious. Remember what I said? That's all the stuff that held power over you. Anytime you suppress an emotion, that power of that emotion is huge, because now you can't see it. Anything you can't see that is now causing you to feel a certain way, but you have no say over it. It's kind of like a knee-jerk response. You know, you have no say over why you keep attracting these people in your life, or the circumstance, or whatever it is, to keep re-experiencing the same emotion over and over again, because the emotion's locked in there and it says, hey, I want to get out, please. So it's going to keep revealing itself and keep showing itself. But nonetheless, this is where you are. So why everything is amplified right now. You're moving into the true matrix, and there is this process right now of releasing everything of the false matrix, everything of density, everything of ego. Release and discharge everything that is not the truth of you, so that the divine self can emerge and walk into the divine matrix. Why are some people not feeling it though? If you take into account what you've had to go through, the dark nights of the soul, in order to awaken, there is a journey. And this is a journey that is going to call upon the inner warrior. I often talk about the spiritual warrior, and that's definitely not in the sense of going to war. That's in the sense of your courage to face yourself. And you know that because you've been that spiritual warrior in the front lines of your own life, in the front lines of everything that was once suppressed, now surfacing, needing to be the courageous warrior that faces it all and feels it all. And at this point, a couple of people feel pretty shafted. So they might look at a friend or a family member, somebody that they know who's oblivious. Dark night of the soul. They're busy going out for dinner. They're busy going out to clubs. They're busy buying a new condo. They don't know what you're talking about. What's this dark night of the soul nonsense? Go distract yourself and do something else. That's certainly the way that they've been doing it. And they can't understand you. They can't understand, why would you invite in, you know, all of the stuff that you're going through? Just ignore it all. Why? Because that's the way of the false matrix. That's what you were born to. That's the world that you lived in. That world is called hell. Hell is not somewhere. There is an underworld, and there is a video, by the way, that I've got about the astral and the underworld's collapse. You can watch that. But there is an underworld. There is, however, hell. And that's exactly where you were born into. Earth, what we call planet Earth, is really a state of disconnection to sustain life in a false matrix. A false matrix is a matrix or a creation, what looks like a reality field. And I say looks like because the false matrix is it's a mimicry system. It's totally false. There's nothing real or substantial about it. Yet, of course, it's called the real world, which is part of the program of the illusion. So in order to sustain life in the false matrix, you have to be talented, in fact, masterful at disconnection, disassociation, illusion, at the purposeful dismissing, at the purposeful pushing away from everything that you're seeing. And you can't do that anymore. You've lost your ability to do that because your soul has decreed that it's time for you to ascend and evolve, and to do it consciously, and to not wait to the last minute, because at the last minute there is confusion. At the last minute there is, do I want this or not? Why would I even go through this? No, I'll just hitch a ride to the next life, which is going to be another 4D planet. There's a video called Ascension and the Two Worlds Split where that's explained to you. There are those who will not ascend, who will go off into a 4D planet. So at the last minute, there are those people who are going to go to hell with this. I've got to still face myself? No, thank you. And you will have already done the work and have already assured yourself that your body is capable of sustaining your life in the divine matrix. That is why you're doing what you're doing. So it's to make sure that you ascend, number one. Number two, it's to make it safe for others, to leave a trail trailblazer, to leave a trail for others to follow that shows, look, it's safe, I did it, I traversed the trail. And the more people traversing the trail, and there are millions, hundreds of millions of them right now, the more people traversing those pathways, the more it lights up for others and becomes safe for others, the more it lifts the planetary frequency for the animals, for the plant life, for everything alive. And you wanted to be a part of that, but others did not. So they're, in a sense, sleeping, or they're not as conscious as you are, not as connected as you are. The disconnect looks like fun. That's really what it looks like. It looks like, look at me buying my new car. Look at me, I'm buying a new house. Look at me, I got a new swimming pool. Life is beautiful. I'm going on vacation. Da da da. That's really the image of what a successful life looks like in the false matrix. In the true matrix, what a successful life looks like is, hey, do you want to come over for dinner and just share a moment with me? Just be connected in a state of beauty and a state of grace. Do you want to feel peace? And it's a ripple. That's the success of the true matrix, and where you're going to. That's what a successful life looks like. And there isn't really the disparity between successful and not successful, but nonetheless, the parameters of what we define as success are totally different in the two matrices. The false matrix needed you to become a master of denial and illusion. It needed you to dismiss your intuition. It needed you to dismiss the lights that you saw in the peripheral of your eye and say, oh, it was nothing. It needed you to look up in the sky and see something anomalous and see something that was bright and flickering, and then say, no, it was probably just, Woo. There's my loud morning visitors, the hardy-dars. So it needed you to look up at that flashing light in the sky and say, weather balloon, obviously, satellite, obviously. It needed you to dismiss the magic that was right in front of you. It needed you to have feelings rise up that you couldn't name and couldn't claim, and then push them back down again. You are unlearning that old behavior, hence giving you this intense experience right now. But there are those that haven't even begun the path yet. They're still exposed to the energy. They're still exposed to the opportunity. They're still exposed to the cosmic light. Every human being is. They're just so masterfully connected to the false matrix. Now, this is what I want to say to you, and that I said in the beginning. Stay tuned for this part, because I feel like this is going to make sense to you right now. I shared this last night with the Galactic Ground Crew. They are a part of my online community, and I shared this with them that there are two groups of being right now upholding the false matrix. The one is the dark controllers, obviously. Many of those dark controllers are very weakened. Many of them are, well, a lot of them have already given up and left. Those that still remain to do the job, they are what I would call the minions. They are the diehards, because they've got nowhere else to go, and they are so invested in the reality that they've created in the false matrix. They're not about to give up on it. So there's a handful of those really dark beings, the ones that come from, so it's not the original architects, but it's ones that come from or are connected to the original architects of the false matrix. Mostly the original architects have already abandoned ship and realized that they cannot prolong their stay, certainly not in Earth's false matrix. They're looking for others. That's another story, but that's what they're doing. The other group of people that are upholding the false matrix are human beings who are so afraid of facing themselves, so afraid of what you're doing, so afraid they lack the courage to really connect to presence, to essence, and they find every reason and every excuse not to. Oh, when I'm finished my project, I first have to get this degree, I first have to, whatever it is, whatever the distraction is. They're masters of shutting down. They're masters of staying disconnected and unaware. And when they see you connecting, you scare them. You scare the hell out of them, because they don't want to go through what you're going through. To them it looks scary, but to me that looks scary. To me, what they're doing in that illusion, in that fantasy, in the nothing's wrong here, I'm just living a good life, I don't know what you're talking about, in that illusion, When Earth is on a tipping point right now of ascension, of some massive, monumental changes that the brain cannot even wrap itself around, that the best that you can do is prepare yourself in body, mind, and soul. When you're there at that point of the cycle of change on our planet, when you're there and still play in denial, that looks kind of scary from where I'm sitting. But this is a different perspective. This is a higher dimensional perspective. So I don't want you to feel like they've got the good end of the deal. I don't want you to feel like, well, ignorance is bliss. I should have chosen what they chose. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is hell. Because what's underneath it all? They have the illusion, and that's all that they've got. They have the illusion of sanctuary and safety, and they have the illusion of having the masses by their side. But the truth is, those still connected to the false matrix, they are few. They are not the entire planet. They are nowhere near even half of the planet. Way more than half the planet right now has already moved into that journey of unplugging and reconnecting, unplugging from the false, reconnecting to the true. That's already begun. And that number is going to get a lot bigger, and it's going to move exponentially as we move forward in time. I'll be back really soon with more information to do with our ascension. And in the meantime, I want you to keep your eyes on the prize and to remember that is you. Keep focused on your own ascension. Even when the people around you appear to be blissfully disconnected, keep your eye on your path and your growth and take it more seriously than ever before. From my heart to yours, lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.